Hi, this is Trudy Visotsky, and welcome to the very first episode of Trudy Talk. A very warm welcome to you. I'd love you to grab a notepad and pen because I'm going to be posing some self-reflection questions to you, and I really want you to get the most out of this podcast and the series of podcasts with the topic of foundations of personal growth and development. So we're going to dive straight into it. I believe in that many ways we must both learn and unlearn in order to evolve. Most of you would have heard of the practice that none of us would agree with, but when elephants are held in captivity, they're trained at a very early age not to roam. We know, we've seen photos, they're disturbing, but the fact is that one leg of a baby elephant is normally tied with a rope to a wooden post or something planted in the ground. And that rope confines that baby elephant to an area determined by the length of the rope. So initially the baby elephant tries to break free from the rope, but the rope's too strong. So the baby elephant over a short period of time learns that it can't break the rope. But even though the elephant grows up and becomes so strong, and it could quite easily break the same rope, it doesn't, because it's learned that it couldn't break the rope when it was really young. So the adult elephant believes that it still can't break the rope, so it doesn't even try. So the reality is that humans operate in a similar way. We've learned something about ourselves at an early age, and we often still believe it as an adult. It stays within our psyche and our energy fields, and even though it may not be true, we often operate as if it is. Fortunately, though, the good news is humans were born with the ability to make conscious choices. So an important step in changing how you perceive yourself and how you view everything that goes on around you. Knowing that we can change, but we've got to first accept some decisions that have brought us to this point. The reason I'm really inspired by this topic is that I've noticed some themes along the way in my entire life, themes within myself, themes with the people I interact with. I've spent a career in government. I've interacted with lots of diverse groups of people. I've run a successful clinic, and I've written and conducted workshops in around 200 topics, from behavioural psychology to metaphysics, business management, and including conscious relationships and parenting. And I've noticed a theme. I've found that often in life, many people try to take shortcuts and they move straight onto a project or a goal or a mission or an aim of some sort. But we really need to go back to some foundational stuff. So that's where I really want to start, because I think that we need to reflect and recognise that along the way we are taking actions or we're having inactions, and we need to consider them about our current life situation. We need to acknowledge and reset the aspects within you and that you need to address or that we need to address, and then we need to learn to map it across into a subconscious and subconscious mind if we want to have an ideal life. So one of the foundational principles of personal growth and development that I've found is honest self-reflection. Honest self-reflection doesn't mean filling in a quick diary in the morning, at night, or setting an intent or setting some goals. Honest self-reflection is looking at areas of your life that you are not currently enjoying or that could be improved, and just focusing on that one area and getting really clear about what you are doing or not doing in that area of your life to improve it. So honest self-reflection, though, requires something that a lot of us as humans don't like to discuss or actually even reflect upon, and that is the fact that we're going to make mistakes, the fact that we are imperfect, the fact that we're going to sometime get things wrong in order to get things right. So when we have a personality or a characteristics or a behavior or a pattern of ignoring the truth, we often are setting ourselves up for the opposite to self-reflection that is honest, to maybe even some delusion or even some living in a fantasy world. So what we really want to be doing is we want to identify, are you even comfortable with honest self-reflection? That's a really good starting point. So I guess for some of you, that could even be a question to start with. How happy am I, or how open am I to actually be considering some honest self-reflection? Is it tough sometimes to reflect honestly? Absolutely. But the less that we concern ourselves about being right, or getting everything right, or knowing that we actually are infallible as human beings, the easier it can be for us to actually make a starting point towards honest self-reflection. Most of my life, I would not have made the improvements I had without identifying some of the weaknesses I had, some of the patterns, some of the stories, some of the behaviors. If I actually, allowed those patterns or behaviors or actions to continue to take place, if I didn't label them in a very short period of time as being unresourceful or a behavior that was not acceptable, I wouldn't have been able to change them. So again, we need to take that step and consider honest self-reflection is the very foundational step towards personal growth and development. So what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself that question. Am I committed to starting a process of honest self-reflection? Hopefully it's yes, but if you're not there today, you might be there tomorrow. And then what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself, what is one area of your life that you really, that you're very keen to improve? Is it your business? Is it your career? Is it your finances? Is it your relationships? Is it the way that you interact with your children or your family members? Is it getting clearer on what you want to be doing in life? What is an area of your life that you want to improve? Is it your health? Is it, for some of you, it might even be your general happiness, just improving the level of happiness that you have in life. So is it work-life balance? What is it? What is it that you really are committed to establishing an area that you've identified that you really, really want to improve? Because we want to start very small. We want to very narrow, focus it down to one area of your life that you're really committed to improving. And once you've got that written down, you need to start digging a little bit deeper. And sometimes that might be spending an adequate amount of time to do some honest self-reflection. I know that life is busy, and I know that there are so many distractions that can take us off course. But the reality is, set aside a time, just a similar time that you would do to any other ritual that you have of eating. Set aside a particular time where you can actually do some personal growth and development, and try and make it the same time every day or every week. And because the next question you want to ask yourself is, what are some of the beliefs that you have about this particular area? And you really do want to start being honest about the stories that you have. Listen to the conversations that you have about that particular area. For example, when I ran a relationship workshop once, all you had to do was listen to the conversations that people were having, and you could identify some beliefs very quickly. Some of the people would say, "Oh, well, all men, are liars," or in a business workshop, someone would say it's really hard to make money. I think that you've got to be working, 80 hours a week. So again, some stories about that particular area of your life that you must improve, that you want to improve, that you're committed to improving. What are some of the beliefs that you have about this particular area? Now, on the next podcast, I'm going to go a bit deeper into beliefs, and I want to list a whole heap that you can actually tick off as we go. But just sit down for a moment after this podcast finishes and just ask yourself, what are some beliefs that you already know that you really want to uncover, and you want to release them so that you can move forward on this foundational principle of honest self-reflection and moving beyond and improving that area of your life that you want to, that you've chosen to. Another thing you might want to ask yourself is, what are some of the patterns that you've noticed or that even others may have given you feedback about this area in your life. So remembering, the things that you've said to people, write down some of those comments that you've made. They're great ways to identify some beliefs or even some continuing similar patterns. A lot of people that have started businesses have found that they get to a certain point and they find they plateau a bit. It's a bit like weight loss, they plateau a bit. It's a bit like a relationship. It's great to start with, but then something happens, something changes, something shifts. And these are all patterns. And given that a lot of this information has been stored in your subconscious mind, and 95% of your life is being driven by your subconscious, we really want to identify consciously right now with some honest self-reflection, what are some patterns that you've noticed, or that others have maybe given you some feedback about areas of your life that you could consider and dig a little bit deeper into where those patterns have come from. So the podcast is about honest self-reflection. The topic is about identifying an area of your life that you really are committed to improving, writing down some beliefs that you have right at this moment about the particular area. You don't have to go on and to do anything with those beliefs unless you want to. Sometimes just by acknowledging them, you actually then have a choice to make some different decisions, take some different conscious action. And what are some patterns that you notice that are similar? Maybe you're getting the same results in that particular area of your life because you haven't yet identified the pattern that you can change. So I'm really excited to be continuing to share on this journey. There are a couple of more principles of foundational personal growth and development that I'll be sharing with you over the next couple of podcasts. Please remember to keep a notepad and pen handy, because you may just get a few aha moments over the next hours, days, or a week. And I look forward to sharing more with you again on episode 2 of Trudy Talk. Have a wonderful day or evening, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon.